Nice to meet you for the first time ever.
It's so good to meet you.
Yeah.
I've heard so much about you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I flew all the way
Good
from
things?
Canada.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
really?
I did. Yeah.
Oof.
No, actually, I didn't fly. I drove.
Oh, you drove? It's a new method of communication, of
It is.
transportation.
Yeah.
Neither of us can speak. This is starting great.
Yeah, okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to your neighborhood.
To my own neighborhood. Wow.
Yeah,
it's
nice.
kind of nice here.
It's actually a really nice day, though.
It is a really nice day. Yeah. Especially because we're just coming off of a heat wave.
It still feels hot to me, but, you know, at least there's a breeze.
There's a breeze. That's an
breeze.
improvement. There was no breeze before.
And we're in the shade.
And we're in the shade.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for doing an interview with me.
Of course.
I've always been wanting to talk to you. Spoilers, she's my girlfriend. However, she's amazing, so I want to share her knowledge with the world.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'll try to be helpful.
I'm sure you will be.
Thank you.
Okay, so can we start with having you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Sam Di Lorenzo, and I was born here in Brooklyn, New York. Ever since I was a kid, I knew that I wanted to do something with acting. It all started from when I was in kindergarten, where I would mimic our answering machine, which is like not a thing that really exists nowadays, but they used to have these tapes that you could rewind or fast forward, and I would mimic the sound of it fast forwarding.
That's amazing.
Thank you. And I also had an imaginary friend named Alvin, who is Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks. And I would sometimes mimic his voice and do voices like this.
That's so cool.
Thank you. Ultimately, you know, I was not always in the path of acting because, unfortunately, as you know, lots of places are getting rid of their arts programs in schools. It's really tough nowadays to actually like find outlets because like they're not in the places that you would normally be going to, schools or stuff like that. So I just kind of did what I could, and did some background work. My personal wish is to have a focus on voice acting, but it's not so easy to break into.
What inspires you to be creative?
So this is another thing that goes back to when I was a kid. I would do a lot with work with the imagination, which sounds silly to be like, I did that as a kid, but the imagination and like imagining stories and characters and things like that have always been a part of things for me. When I was a kid, I had a Barbie dream house.
Nice choice.
I didn't, but I was the kind of kid who also had like action figures and stuff too. And I would kind of incorporate all of those things into the stories that I would craft. And I'd say like around 9th grade or so, I really got into writing. And then in college, I got into playwriting and stuff as well, which, you know, it helps. It's very similar and connected.
Totally, yeah. What got you into voice acting to begin with?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I was able to do those voices and things from when I was a kid. But what has always drawn me to voice acting is that there aren't the same limitations to voice acting as there are with regular acting. You can kind of play any sort of character in voice acting as long as you can find a voice for that character. It allows you to do more things. You can do stunts that are not actually dangerous, you know, and you can visit different worlds, and you know, like the amount that you can do with animation, like the art side of animation, I think is just like, we're getting there, you know, with CGI and things like that. Although I do prefer like practical effects and stuff, but I feel like it still doesn't compare to the worlds that you can kind of craft in your mind and with pen and paper and with, you know, things like that. Yeah, I just really love the idea of being able to not be limited by what you look like, or anything like that, how tall you are, how this or that, blah, 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 to be able to be a character.
Yeah, that's so interesting because in the acting community, you can easily get typecast or just hired based on your looks.
Yeah, I mean, so typecasting does happen in voice acting as well. If you have a specific sound to your voice that you kind of keep with, there might be places that are looking for you to do this particular kind of voice. But
right, because they know you can do it.
I think, yeah, exactly. But I think that if you focus on creating a diverse voice, and practice and go for those auditions that allow you, to try out different shoes, I guess in this case we'll say, it's kind of boundless. It's a little bit more boundless than regular acting can be.
How would you go about getting into the mind of a character that's very different from yourself?
Yeah, so this is stuff that we studied back in my acting classes, actually, and you try to want to go into anything that you're doing without judgment. Don't look at someone as, oh, they're the bad guy, oh, they're the hero, oh, you always want to look at the more nuanced parts of it. Once you decide, so for me, I really love like pairing psychology with this character work and like figuring out why people are doing certain things and stuff. And through that, if you take away your judgment of them, you can kind of find either bits that are more understandable or bits that you can even connect with, like even the tiniest little bit where you can find a connection of like someone is being really maybe like objectively crazy with how they're acting, but you understand why they're there and you're like, oh yeah, I've had that shit happen to me. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse, but
it's okay.
I've had that kind of stuff happen to me, and that really bothered me too. That also made me upset. And like, you can kind of connect to these little pieces, even if they're just like little crumbs, that will help you find empathy for and get into the mindset of a character. Go in without judgment and then try to connect with them as best you can.
So what's your favorite kind of character to play?
Oh gosh. Like, my answer is going to sound really silly, or not silly, but like a cheat, because I'm going to say nuanced characters. I don't have a specific type of character that I like to play. I like to play a character with a lot of meat to them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? A lot that I can dig into and work with. Like, try to incorporate just subtly in how they speak or what sets them off. You might see in text that there's an exclamation point after a line, but you don't ever know exactly how that's going to sound unless you know more about that character.
Exclamation point is quite ambiguous, isn't it?
I mean, all the punctuation marks can be. Yeah. All they generally mean most of the times are pause or, okay, go up at the end of the sentence, or, but by knowing more about the character, you'll know how they're affected by certain things and what might set them off and make them more passionate or just like generally like surprised or blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess a side question to that original question is, are there specific types of voices as opposed to characters, like a type of voice, like either, I don't know, a high pitched or low, like what's fun?
I really like high pitched voices.
Speaking all the way up here is a lot of fun. I find that it's pretty easy on my voice to do something like that.
But alternatively, I do like going down here, although that can hurt after a while. I also like doing something with a bit of rasp in it, Although those are not probably the characters that I'm most likely to be cast for.
I think you should be.
Oh, well, thank you. But, even if it's just playing a kind of more gruff person, you put a little bit of a rasp in this kind of general voice, you end up finding something new,
I love it.
So I like playing at different levels and stuff. I know what's easiest for me, but I don't always like to just stick with what's easiest. I like to play around.
I think that's great. You grow that way.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do you feel like being a writer helps you to be a better voice actor?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because so I understand things on like a a deeper level in that way. I can see where the script writer is maybe going with things a little better than if I was just doing the acting side of it.
Right.
That definitely helps. I know that, so something that also helps me, I find, is psychology. And actually kind of studying that too, because I feel like it better helps you figure out where people are coming from and getting that empathy point again and stuff like
Right.
that. Why certain things might be manifesting as certain actions, or like someone does something that's very low, but then you understand, that's coming from here.
Right.
And the same thing with writing as well. I don't know. I feel like it just helps you get a better appreciation for reading the script, and finding the little nuances and why things are written the way that they are.
Right.
As in terms of dialogue, like sometimes you go around and you end up like you do one read that's exactly how it is on the page, and then maybe you have a different opinion of it, and you try to do it again in a way that you think is more fitting, and sometimes that works, but sometimes reading it the way it is written, you discover something about like, why, if that makes sense, why this was posed in this way to begin with. And I also think that, so something that we had to do in university was when we were in the theater department, you also had to work for scene shop, which is like creating sets and things like that. And it was just so you had a better appreciation for the work that the people around you were doing.
Right.
Not only so you could do those things or maybe discover a hidden passion or whatever, but also like these are kind of the people that end up being unseen.
Yeah.
And because of that, you end up taking the whole project in with more care and more consideration. I think the same thing can be said with writing and with voice acting and acting in general.
Totally. How do you find the voice acting community and industry? Is it welcoming?
Yes, but it's hard to get into. So one of my first memories of really like, okay, I'm going to be a voice actor, I really want to be a voice actor, was I met Steve Bloom at New York Comic Con. I believe it was 2017, perhaps. I met him and I let him know that, I'm aspiring to be a voice actor. And basically he said to me, welcome to the family.
Aww.
It was very sweet. But it is true. It is very much like a family. It's hard to break into because it is ultimately like a smaller bunch.
Yeah.
Especially in animation.
Yeah.
It is welcoming. However,
you kind of need someone to welcome you in.
Yeah, you kind of need someone to welcome you in. You need to find your way into the party. Once you're in the party, you're in the party. But you need to find your way into the party.
Right. It's like a room, you just need to find the key.
Exactly. Yeah. You knock on the door, everyone's having fun. They don't hear you knocking on the door. So
it's so sad.
Any creative field is difficult to break into.
It's true.
None of it is a cakewalk. All of it is like, for a while, you're going to be struggling.
Yeah.
Even when you make it, you might still be struggling. I don't mean to sound negative, but like...
No, but it's true, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So there's a long time that you're going to be walking up. It takes a lot of flights of stairs before you finally get to the penthouse.
Yeah.
The elevator's out. There's no elevator. Unless you know someone and then that's your elevator. Maybe you'll catch it on the 20th floor and it can take you the rest of the way up.
Oh, man.
But,
Yeah. I think that's a good way of describing it.
Thank you.
How hard is it to find gigs?
It can be hard. And so it's kind of a complex answer because gigs in themselves can be easy to find.
Yeah.
However, what level of notoriety is the gig at? What is the pay like?
Right. Is it paid at all?
There's a lot of unpaid work.
Yeah.
I've heard this a lot, and it's very true. You can't be going into this business because you want to be famous.
Yeah.
That can't be your goal. You have to be going into it because you love acting.
Yeah.
Because you got to be willing to do like a lot of jobs that are not necessarily going to be able to sustain you and stuff. Like those big jobs, that's a very few amount of people are able to be all the way up there.
Right.
Yeah. So like it's easy to find jobs, but the surrounding details of those jobs, are they paid?
Mm.
What are they paid in? Because some of them are like, oh, we'll feed you, and it's like
Exposure.
yeah, exposure.
Yeah.
You know, is the project going to come to fruition? Because there are a lot of projects that make it, there are a bunch of different stages before you have something that comes out. So it's like you could be cast in something and work on something, you know, do scripts for something, but then ultimately it's shot down at some stage of the game. It could be an early stage, could be a late stage. There's so much. So yeah, complex answer to that question.
Okay, I see. How do you manage that kind of stress? Where do you put your focus?
So it's hard. And like sometimes you do need to take a break from things. And it's important to know that you can take a break. You can walk away for a little bit. Sometimes you have to.
Right.
Because there are a lot of things, it's rarely ever a direct commentary on you, on your skills, but there are a lot of places where you just don't hear back from anyone. And sometimes it's the silence that can be, let me get all writery, the silence that can be the most deafening. It can bother you the most just not hearing back from anything, because then it's like, are my responses getting through? Am I having internet problems? Is anyone getting anything that I'm doing? Should I keep going? Should I stop? Is this just telling me, all right, nobody wants you or whatever? It's very easy to get kind of complex on that. I refer to it as like talking into the void. And sometimes you do need to step away because of that. I would say to not let your current moment detract from your previous achievements.
Yeah.
Remember where you have gotten. And if you haven't gotten anywhere, that's fine too. That's, you know, nothing is set in stone for the future.
Right.
But like so easily, I feel like we do one thing and then we are so focused on the next thing.
Yeah.
You know, enjoy the past things that you've done as well. And whether that's getting the gig or finally getting your headshots or, you know, getting your reel or blah, 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 blah. Like, even those things that are not necessarily super dependent on outside forces are still your accomplishments.
It's true.
So definitely, like, you know, sit with that, take that in, try to ruminate on those things. But don't be afraid also to take a break if you need to every now and then.
Yeah, I think that's great. So what are your long-term goals?
I would love, there are some people in the voice acting community who I have listened to since I was a child on TV, who are still in the industry, and like I would love to get to work with those people in whatever capacity.
Yeah.
Big role, small role, doesn't matter. I'd love to just kind of occupy the same space as that person for like a little while. I think just being able to continue doing this and to maybe make money from it, you know, that would be nice. If it was enough to like, for that to be the thing that I'm doing, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows, again, what the future will bring on that.
Yeah.
We can all hope, but like that is a dream goal.
Yeah, because that means that you'd be able to spend the majority of your time doing it, because time is money. So if you have the money, then you can spend more time on the thing you love.
And I love this. I love working with characters and working within a story and working with people and just playing around. Like, I don't think that I could really get tired of that.
Yeah.
That is just so much fun to me. I will go until my voice gives out.
Aww.
You know, like, yeah.
All right, now that the sun's gone, or at least for a moment, what piece of advice would you give to someone who's interested in voice acting?
So practice your craft in terms of like play around with your voice. I'd say take classes, if you know, in whatever way that is. If you're lucky enough to have a school, a university, anything like that that has acting classes, definitely take that. If you find something within your community that you can take part of, try that. Just really like practice in your room, practice But like I say classes because those will give you the tools. Those will like unlock ideas of ways you can play around with things that you may not have ever thought about.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely try your best to just get involved with those more than anything else. I think that is the best thing that you can do. There are some resources that you can look into. I think there's a book from a voice actor called D. Bradley Baker called So You Want to Be a Voice Actor, I believe. That has very good advice in it, so I'd say read that. But most importantly, I'd say take classes and play around and have fun.
Yeah.
Try to focus on having fun. Yeah.
How would you practice in your room by yourself?
Gosh. Okay. So some things you can do are like vocal warm-ups and exercises, like which is working out the lips and also bringing the sound up your throat and down all the way. You can even picture like it as an elevator going up and down. And then there's tongue twisters, things like that, saying the letter H and trying to get it out without air.
Oh.
Huh. Like something like that.
Okay.
It helps with speaking more clearly and not trailing off as much. Sounds silly. And then also I found fun with, I do stuff where like I'll play a visual novel and I'll like read for the characters, or I'll read a comic and I'll voice the characters. Like people probably would see me and think I'm a crazy person, but it's fun to think, what kind of voice would this character have? What kind of voice would this character have? This is a big beefy dude. How would he sound? This is a dainty girl, or this is a big beefy girl, and how would she sound? It's just, yeah, find your own ways to have fun. Look at your media, look at books, and voice your books as you read them. Once you get a quote, read it out loud, see how it sounds, things like that.
I'm gonna put in a clip here of Hutsaful Boyfriend. For anyone who is not aware, Sam has played through Hutsaful Boyfriend on her YouTube channel. If you're interested, I'm going to put the link in the description below. It's really great. I'm going to put a clip here because she's really cute. She does a lot of voices, and she gave us this very special gift, and it's all on her channel.
Hutsaful Boyfriend is a fun sim, sort of dating sim, sort of mystery story that deals with birds, and it's funny, and it's meant to be funny.
It's also dark.
It does get dark, yes. Yeah, it is dark.
No spoilers, but it gets real.
Yeah, well, as real as you can get with the birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surreal, maybe. I don't know.
Once freed, Oak goes on rampages for a while and then comes over with a satisfied expression.
Oko-san loves you, gentle maiden, but fake pudding cannot be forgiven.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And she voices a lot of characters in that, and it's very fun to watch.
Thank you.
Okay, this paper is crinkly.
Yeah.
All right, we're on to the last question. Okay. If you could pick one show, whether it's currently running or it's off air, what would you want to be a part of?
Yeah, I think a couple of anime that I've really enjoyed, like Ouran High School Host Club.
You boys are the homosexual supporting cast. So please make sure that you don't step across this line. You've got to be kidding.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like I love watching the behind the scenes of things, like acting in general behind the scenes, like bloopers and stuff like that. But I also really love when you get to see inside the voice booth.
Yeah.
For voice acting, and just the cast sounded like they had a lot of fun on that show. I would love to be in that.
I mean, it's a fun show.
Oh yeah.
Honey senpai?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally recommend. Older shoujo anime at this point, but like it holds up.
It really does.
It pretty much holds up, and it's a lot of fun. Less like romance based, more comedy based. Great time. Or I'd say something like maybe Digimon.
Oh yeah.
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 That'd be fun too. A nice adventure.
Yeah.
To be able to voice lots of beats and emotions to go through.
Definitely, because it's a kid's show, but it also goes a bit more serious than maybe Pokemon does.
Certain, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess any season would be true. Yeah, on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy vacation.
Mm. Absolutely. Thank you for wanting to talk with me.
Of course.
Yeah.
I love picking your brain.
Oh.
I get to do it all the time, but I just kind of wanted to share. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I don't know how to end things, so subscribe, I guess.
Oh yeah, you go.
Well, I did it. Subscribe, I guess.
Yeah, definitely subscribe. There's a
Subscribe
lot
to
of-
her.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you. But she has a lot of great interviews that are out as well.
Only 2, but there'll be more.
There'll be more.
There'll be more.
But you have other interviews. The interviews you have done are really good, and then
you.
you have like a bunch of other cool art content as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Subscribe. Do it. Do it. Do
Her.
it.
Subscribe
Do
to
it.
her.
No.
It's dark as the inside of a cow out here. That is a weird metaphor. Dark as the inside of a cow? Alright.